storm followed by rain halted the game. At the end of it all, South Africa have emerged victorious by 6 runs thanks to the DLS method. Here we are on the Outside View Live, powered by Vespa and Aprilia. South Africa 2-1 up. We'll get down to that, but before that, the SXR 160.
You're late.
Don't just live life, maxify it.
What a game and what a way to end the game in the third ODI between India and South Africa, with the tourists going 2-1 up in the series thanks to the DLS method. Back with the Outside Live, powered by Vespa and Aprilia. Boria Majumdar, Claire Cowan and Sonia Dabir with us. Boria, your thoughts first. Very, very unfortunate way to end the game and the result in South Africa's favor.
Yeah, but you've got to say that Lizelle Lee deserved that win. I mean, you know, the way she batted, you've got to say Lizelle Lee deserved that victory for South Africa. Yeah, I mean, I will still say, let's put it this way. It was 60-40 South Africa, no more. Because Jhulan Goswami had an over. Rajeshwari Gaikwad was bowling well. Had that one wicket fallen and the asking rate was 7, 7.5, 8, it was around that zone. And anything could have happened. Pressure could have fallen. One catch, one run out, one wicket. Anything could have happened. That's why it's cricket. And we have seen close games. Having said that, I will say because of the innings of Lizelle Lee, I will say the fortune actually deservedly favored her and her team because it was an extraordinary knock. So, okay, deservingly South Africa 2-1, but India will not be displeased. 248, good score. Maybe could have been more. The acceleration didn't happen. It was a very even-paced one. And in bowling, again, Jhulan Goswami was the peach of the bowlers. Sushma Verma, multiple questions behind the stumps, fielding questions, and of course, Mansi Joshi. How on earth, after a good attack, you bowl on the 10th stump and keep feeding? So these are important questions that India will need to solve.
132 not out for Lizelle Lee, Claire. What an esteemed company to be in. Jogmari Lokenenberg, Laura Wolford, and now we will read Lizelle Lee as the third highest individual score in ODI cricket for South Africa. But finally, for South Africans, a rain affected game has gone in their favor. You really can't forget that semi-final last year in the T20 World Cup and the numerous other occasions where the men's team have found on the wrong side. But finally, take it away, Lizelle Lee and South Africa.
Yeah, I suppose if you have to go back in South African women's and men's cricket, rain doesn't really suit us, does it? But what I would really sum up this match is that the public and women's cricket fans were really robbed at the end of the day. That's actually how I would sum it up, because this would have gone down to the wire, like no doubt about it. You know, calling it off 46.3 overs. I mean, it was 67 or 60 deliveries. I mean, it was enthralling the whole way through. But Lizelle Lee, she played a magnificent innings. And for me, that is how she can play. And I don't want to speak too soon, but I almost feel like she's unpacking how she can be a great opening batsman. Like she's sort of starting to make that shift. We all know that she can hit a very, very long ball. We all know that she's a power hitter. But so often we see her go too early on in her innings. Her feet aren't moving. She plays across the line and her back comes through sort of, too horizontally. She doesn't keep it straight, especially in her first 10, 15 deliveries. But like just lately, some very good innings in the Pakistan after she corrected that technical issue in the first ODI against Pakistan. And now we've seen the first ODI, she batted beautifully as well. So it's almost like, the penny is dropping and she's really sort of unpacking her game. And, it's so easy to say that, to say, play straight in the first 15, you don't have to go big. But when you're such a natural sort of fluent batter and you can sort of play all the shots and and you can just put your foot on the accelerator at any time. It's not easy to sort of really sort of pace your innings and get that 100% correct. And we saw today just how magnificent she can bat, how powerful she can bat. I mean, 16 fours, 2 sixes. It was spectacular.
Yeah, till the time, Sonia, I want to know your thoughts. Till the time Lizelle was there in the middle with first with Laura Wolford and then with Lara Goodall, what were your thoughts? Did you think South Africa would chase it down or come close, or were you on the other side where people were saying that there possibly could be a collapse where they would be bundled out for 150, 160? In which side were you?
See, actually, the way Lizelle Lee was playing, it was amazing to see few of her shots. I mean, hitting Julan or a pace bowler like Julan for a six, especially over mid on long on. That was amazing knock from her. And as Bodia Majumdar sir said, that well-deserved century in a match-winning game. So the point is, I feel the way they both were attacking the bowlers, it was definitely a 50-50 game. I would not say, because at such point of time in a game, if you get one wicket also, there are few chances, then there are cluster of wickets coming your way. So definitely I would say that it was a 50-50 chance for both India and South Africa, because Lizelle Lee was in an attacking mode. At the same time, India was searching for that one wicket, which I think Rajeshwari Gaikwad gave us.
Right. Boya, let's move to the phase which kind of turned the game, twisted the game, the 35th over, because till then South Africa were in the driver's seat, 79 more needed with 90 balls in the pocket, the batting power play to come, a set Mignon du Preez with Lizelle Lee batting, Jhulan Goswami comes in, bowls a tight over, then Rajeshwari Gaikwad picks up a wicket, and then there was this winds of change, as I call that, blowing around at the Ekana International Stadium, that almost seemed to turn the game in India's favor, didn't it?
Absolutely correct. I mean, 90 ball 79 all of a sudden became 70 ball 70 or something like that, maybe 70 ball 69. And it just went in India's favor. And, obviously at that point in time, there were some tight overs bowled. Lizelle Lee did not get much strike. She was at the non-strikers. India did extremely well. But then there was another fight back by South Africa. So this game was a fascinating contest going up, down. I will still say, as I said, because of Lizelle Lee, because she was in such kind of form, I will say South Africa slightly ahead at the time when the match was called off. We don't know. We actually don't know, and counter history is fascinating. But yes, it was an incredibly good fight back. Somehow, you could sense that Mignon du Preez was sort of rushing it a bit. There was no need. They had it under control. The previous over, when Deepti bowled, they had taken her for runs. When Jhulan bowled, they had taken her for runs. So they were actually building momentum, and they had taken the game. So that shot, the way she played, and getting caught and opening it up. And then Marizan Ka, for you play 6 balls, you build pressure on yourself, and then you play that shot. And if you see her immediate reaction, she's livid with herself, livid. And that tells you that the pressure is back again. But that's cricket, right? You still had 1 over from Jhulan. And that 1 over could have won India the game as well. But so be it. South Africa, as Claire said, deserves a rain one. I mean, whether it is the 1992 World Cup, 1 out of 22 runs of 1 ball, and that scoreboard where, again, I think South Africa could have won that game and could have made the final in their comeback year. Whether it is the 2003 World Cup when a wrong information was sent out and at home they went out, whether it was the last, the Women's T20 World Cup by losing by 5 runs, they deserved a game because of the DL. So we will give it to them. We are good hosts. We've set the series up.
Thank you, Boria. I'll take that one then. Thank you.
And we could also see Lizelle Lee being very calculative around that 41st, 42nd over mark, where there was a sheet of paper circulating on the field. Lizelle telling her partner to stay put, and also at one point of time asking the umpires why aren't they walking off, etc. But that's all done and dusted. But let's come to this point, Claire. We've talked about Mignon du Preez's batting. Everyone loves when she's at the middle, scoring those runs, running quickly. Intensity is right up there. 37 of 46 is what she got. She hit a magnificent 6. That one shot, which she could have well avoided. And that probably changed the scale. Because in the mid-show, you were talking about how important it is for South Africa to have Mignon Dupree and Madison Kraft down in that middle order when things can go tight. Both of them kind of threw it away, didn't they?
Yeah, I must be honest. I think Mignon Dupree's facial expression when she went out almost was like, and we got the win, we'll take the win, so thank you. But I had this gut feeling that she probably felt I've actually lost the game for my country. And to be very honest, she's probably not 100% incorrect in having that feeling. I just felt of a player of her experience. There was no rush. She was playing across the line against spin. It was a diabolical shot. She really didn't need to play it. And yes, the pressure was mounting. There were a couple of dot balls that had been bowled, and the momentum wasn't in South Africa's favor 100%. But it wasn't like it had stopped. There was still play. They were still knocking the ball around, and I just thought it was quite a brash shot at that time of the innings, because then we saw Cup come in and she went out really cheaply. And then you've got Anna Kabosh who comes in, and she's only sort of played, I think, at 6 ODIs. And so then the inexperience is there. So it was a very concerning sort of period of time. And I know Mignon would be very hard on herself and is going to sort of unpack kind of, and I think that's important. You've got to unpack, why did you can't play that shot? What was going through your head? What were you feeling? What was the internal mechanisms that drove you to play that shot that you shouldn't have played? So it'll be important for her to learn from that and take that forward, because it was a pivotal point in the game, and it really could have cost South Africa dearly. So yeah, hopefully we can, we'll put that in the back pocket. They can learn from it. And the batsmen, I think it's important for all of them to talk about that, and for Mignon to share that experience with the other batters. So you kind of share, and people can learn from that experience. So if they're in a similar situation, they know how better to react.
Yeah, and tell me more about Jhulan from your view, Claire, because 9 overs, 20 for 2 in a game where it's a 4.5, 5 run and over game, and this is the third ODI we are speaking about, and not the first. Yet South Africa seem to haven't found a solution to play against her, apart from 1 or 4 or a 6 here and there.
Yeah, they're definitely struggling. Look, I mean, she's a class act. She bowls so well. Her experience. She knows what she's doing when she's got the ball in her hand, and like it's easy to be critical of the batsman and say come up with a solution, but she's not sitting on top of the pops for a silly reason. She deserves to be there, and she's got so much skill to back it up. I think at times, like, maybe they need to just look at sort of creating a bit more space for themselves. So are they utilizing the crease? So is it a case of they need to maybe stand just outside the crease, and if they're feeling comfortable playing off on the back foot, that their back step is slightly bigger, so they're just increasing the space that they have to play the ball. If they feel like they really liking their front foot, as an example, that maybe then they're standing slightly deeper in the crease, and so therefore you give yourself a little bit more time, a little bit more space to transfer your weight onto the front foot. So I think, but the problem is it's not a case of one size fits all for the batsmen. So they're going to have to sort of unpack that themselves to work out what would work for them. But Mitali Raj again was brilliant in her captaincy, and I think that must also be said, because her bringing back Jhulan at the perfect time when probably South Africa's top 3 batsmen and Marizanne Cup is walking out to the wicket, and I mean Cup faced 5 balls and went out for a duck. So I think Mitali Raj's captaincy again, and I said that in the second ODI, I think it did shine through, and I think her bowling changes were critical, and you could see when she was kind of losing control of the game, she just knew when to bring Jhulan back, and sort of Jhulan just steps up and gets the wicket, or strings together like sort of 4 or 5 dot balls, and just 4 or 5 dot balls when you're chasing 249, that puts pressure on the batsman itself.
Fair, but let's move on to a segment that we call Vespa Know Your Player, where we celebrate some of the former players. We have Sonia Dabir here today, and here we are going to talk about her incredible spell against Pakistan in the T20 World Cup of 2014. Sonia, the lead up wasn't the ideal one, because you had to miss a game ahead of that game. So Tell us more about the build-up, and then we'll talk about the match.
Actually, just one day before the Pakistan game, it was like T20 World Cup in 2014. We had a West Indies game, and just before the West Indies game, I was admitted in the hospital for food poisoning, and whole day I was in the hospital. Next day we had a playoff match against Pakistan, which actually I didn't want to miss. And like the morning of the match, Mithali and Purnima ma'am had asked me whether really want to play this match or not, because somewhere back of the mind I had decided that it was going to be the last match of my career. I didn't want to miss it. So I had already told them that let anything happen, I'm going to play this match.
India versus Pakistan contest you can't miss watching, contest you very well can't miss playing. On the field, what was it like? Because you ran amok there, whereas India wasn't defending a big score. Tell us more your thoughts. 3 wickets, big one that Nahida Khan, Nain Abidi, as well as Javeria Khan, all your backbone of the Pakistan batting. What was it like running through them?
Yeah, actually, as like I said before itself, the thing was which I had in my mind was, now that I was opening the bowling, so I had one thing. I was very sure about one thing, that I didn't want to experiment too much, because when as I said, when you're want to put pressure on the batsman, the bowling those dot balls and in bowling in the right areas is just what we have to do. So I was just focusing on doing that, and it was a very intense game when it comes to Pakistan, and it started all like from the ball one of the match. It started in the same manner and it ended the same way.
Yeah, it did. 6-run win is what India registered on that day, which brings us back nicely to the current third ODI between India and South Africa. Another 6-run loss this time for India. Boria, let's talk about, you mentioned it at the start, Sushma Verma's wicket keeping. I mean, these are the games that matter, don't they? Because here is those buys that she could have stopped would have well helped India. So the selection, the wicket keeping questioning, your thoughts on Sushma Verma's keeping?
Yeah, but at the same time, I want to make this very clear that Sushma Verma is playing after a fairly longish time. So one needs to give what happened with Rishabh Pant. We have seen every time he missed, people started shouting Dhoni, Dhoni, and that is wrong. So every time Sushma Verma fluffs a chance, none of us cannot be too harsh and critical. Oh, say, you know what, Tanya Bhatia should. We will be constructive. See her movement. She did not. And Lizelle Lee all of a sudden could ease herself into that period of pressure that was building. These are important moments in the game. No doubt about it. But every player is entitled to having one bad day or two. Jamie Rodriguez, for example, is important. It is that she scores runs. She cannot make the same mistake. Social media and all the celebration, fine. But you've got to buckle down and score. At the same time, we all know that she's a bundle of talent. So we've got to give her that much of extra time to come back into form. These are important things for India. Jamie Rodriguez, Sushma Verma. But at the same time, you know what? We need to be patient, because they're playing after a long time. Pressure is building. Sushma Verma 100% will think about these things in her head. So will Jamie Rodriguez. You've got to give them time to come good, because they both have talent. And Rishabh Pant is a clear example in front of you. If you empower cricketers, what can happen? Look at him 6 months back, look at him now, and that's how you need to treat these cricketers.
Yeah, Claire, you'd probably analyze this better, being someone who used to bat in the top order. Jemima Rodriguez, what's the problem you're seeing with her? Because all three have been, in fact, two of them have been the outside edges, while the one was the short ball where she played one on. So what do you think she needs to do? Because as Boria said, youngster, she has the time, she can change it, but something needs to be done before the fourth ODI when the turnaround's very short.
Yeah, like, I mean, to sum it up, I think it's more just a confidence thing. You know, when we see her, you know, that she was sort of trying to tickle the ball down to third man outside her off stump. And for me, it just sort of lacks confidence. You know, at that time of the innings, you either want to be playing like with aggression and you know where the ball's going and you're going to play it through extra cover, or maybe at that time in the innings, you actually just want to leave it and let it go through to the keeper until you really sort of feeling confident in getting the pace of the wicket. So it's like just these little dabbles sort of outside the off stump that's getting her into trouble. And that one that she pulled on, I think, so I thought that was a clever delivery, and I think she was rushed for pace, because if you remember where it kind of caught her at the top of her splice, and she was squashed into the shot, and that's how she pulled it down onto her leg stump. So like in that kind of dismissal, like that was clever bowling. You know, it was a good delivery. It sort of, squashed her up a little bit. She couldn't free her arms. Should she have been playing that kind of shot so early on in her innings? Yes, absolutely. That's a different debate. And maybe as an opener and the batting consultant and the batting coach to say, no, rather just sort of get on your back foot and punch that back straight down the ground. So, there is a little bit of a debate in that, but I think everything is just leaning towards her being confident and really backing what shot she wants to play. A lot of the time she's going out, it's almost like tentativeness that's just coming through, and she just doesn't quite know how she, and what kind of shot she really, really wants to play. But if I can just touch on Boria's comment around Sushma Verma, I mean, I totally agree. Wicket keeping is not an easy task. And the thing is, what we have to remember is they haven't played cricket since November 2019. And now you've got a player who has to stand behind the wickets and concentrate for every single delivery. When you're in the field and your concentration goes for a little bit of a walkabout, most of the time you actually can get away with it, because there are another 10 other players that the ball can potentially go to, and I'm including the bowler and bowling a good dot ball and no one has to field it. But when you're the wicket keeper, you've got to be concentrating every single ball. And when you can't practice that, you can't go and do drills and shut hotel room, or you can't go mock up batting and all that kind of stuff. I mean, what are you going to do? Go stare at a wall for 3 hours and try and make sure you concentrate on one spot? So I know I'm now sort of taking it to the nth degree, but I really just want to highlight that point is concentration comes through practice, and it comes through doing it over and over again in those heated and really pressurized situations. And as we discussed previously, this third ODI was vitally important. So there's pressure, and now there's a lot of pressure on her to keep it clean behind the wickets. And so we need to take that into consideration, because I agree. I think she's got some talent. It's the first time I've seen her before keep, and she's got really good hands. And I definitely think she should be given sort of more opportunities and time to grow, and not be overcritical with her.
Yes, Boria.
Yeah, see, I will have to excuse myself, hence 2 points from me before I sort of take your leave. One, international sport is ruthless. So we have to keep in mind, while we say that we have to give Sushma Verma more time, and that is absolutely the truth, it is also the truth that this was perhaps the deciding game. So that is what pressure is. Now, will Sushma Verma take this as positive pressure, or will she take it as negative pressure? That's where Mithali Raj, W.V. Raman, Jhulan Goswami, the rest of the leadership team will have to come in, because this will play on her mind, anybody's mind. Jamie Rodrigues, will you tweak it around? Will you open with somebody else and get her down for just one game? Give her a bit of cushion. What do you do? Because she is a bundle of talent. We know that. You've got to make your players, and Claire is right. If you see that shot, it's the shot of someone who is under pressure. You've got three things have to change, my friend. Three things. One, Poonam Yadav has to pick wickets. That Jhulan Goswami drop costed us today. Had Lizelle Lee been caught by Jhulan Goswami, it was a pretty straightforward chance. She had to move right. This was where the ball is. It was a straightforward chance. Number one. Number two was the wicket keeping. Number three was despite the unfortunate nature of the ending, number three was, of course, as I said, Sushma Verma and Jamie Rodrigues. These three things. So Poonam, Sushma, Jamie, we have to solve this puzzle ahead of game 4. South Africa deserving winners. Once again, I say, Claire has said very right, sweetly rather, that going down to the wire and all of that, I will again say Lizelle Lee deserved to win this for South Africa. It was a cracking knock.
Right, then let's let's move on to our next segment, the yay or nay, where the virtual studio becomes a kind of tug of war. And I'm gonna get Claire to choose her bits first, which is your yay moment and which is your nay moment, Claire. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry guys. So my yay moment, I'm going to actually not even bring our batting up. I actually want to give it to Sekukune for that fantastic catch that she took. For me, I thought that was a touch of brilliance and pure athleticism. And I know how hard the South African players work on their fielding. And I also know in the past how players have struggled with their fielding. And for me, that particular catch kind of flags for me where South Africa women's cricket wants to go, was setting the standard of fielding. And they're like putting up their hand and they're saying we're going to compete and be the best in the world when it comes to fielding. So for me, it was a small moment. And Lizelle Lee's batting was just phenomenal. But for me, it was really special. It really gave me goosebumps seeing her take a really, really tough catch. And then the nay moment, I'm actually going to go back to what Boria touched on, because I brought up a fantastic catch. I'm going to bring up the drop catch of Lizelle Lee, because again, I think that was quite a critical time in the innings. And as much as Mignon du Preez's dismissal was a big nay, I think that India could have got it back even more if they'd got that catch that Julian dropped. So keeping the theme across catching. But yeah, those would be my yay and nays.
Sonia, which moment in the game, the entire game, made you go yay, and which one did make you nay?
I feel the yay moment was definitely the breakthrough from Rajeshwari Gaikwad, which was much needed at that point of time. And of course, not to forget at least 10,000 international runs. You cannot just miss out on that today. And the nay moment, I think, was the Mansi's over. It was that moment when pressure was built by Julian and the other bowlers, and that was one over which eased out the pressure at that point of time.
Good picks. Mansi Joshi in a nay, and Julian Goswami's dropped catch would be a nay for me as well. So let's move on. Fourth ODI on Sunday, day after tomorrow. Just a very short turnaround. Claire, points that South Africa have to sort out. I think their middle order might be one of the issues. What could be the other, you think?
Yeah, so I think the middle order definitely, but I'm not too concerned because Marizanne Cup's had some good runs in the bag. Mignon's always, as usual, a consistent performer. Probably, if anything, we would want to see Mignon go on and get the 50s and 60s. Obviously, she doesn't have a huge amount of opportunity coming in at number 5, but the mere fact that she's getting to those 30s and getting herself out, she would probably expect a lot more of herself. So middle order slightly. And then I just think just a little bit more sort of to get rid of all these extras. I went back and I think it was something like 13 wides that the South African bowlers bowled. And for me, that's really disappointing. There's no reason that they should be bowling 13 wides in a 50-over game. So they definitely need to correct that. And just working on the spin confidence. So happy with the spin. They must keep going with the spin, but just sort of building their confidence going forward.
Sonia, your thoughts about India's areas to work on ahead of the fourth ODI on Sunday?
I think definitely I would like to see wickets for Poonam Yadav. She's an amazing bowler. Even if the South African batters are reading her well, but definitely I feel she will come back. And I don't mind watching Radha Yadav in the playing 11. Because she is a person who is tight in the bowling and she can bat as well. I would like to mention one more point about Sushma Verma. It was not being critical, but I think she was trying too many things at the same time. I feel she should little bit more calm herself down. It is obvious that you're playing after almost an year. For her, it is more than a year. And pressure game, it was the third ODI. But I think she should just take a few things easy and just avoid doing too many things at one time. And for Jemima, I would like to see definitely that I feel that if you just give her, like Boria sir said, that if you can just push her down for one down and let Poonam open, which she has done previously as well, that may help Jemmy get that extra bit of time. When you see the runs are there on the board, you can come and just start easing out and just take focus on getting those singles and doubles. I think that will help her.
Claire, final thoughts before we move on and wrap the show. Do you think South Africa would be happy looking at India's bowling attack, because there's only Jhulan Goswami who's exerting pressure from one end, while it has been one or two spells or an over here and there that's causing troubles otherwise. Whereas the lack of, as Sonia and Boria both mentioned, lack of wickets for Poonam Yadav, or the ineffectiveness of the other bowlers, Mansi Joshi especially today. So is that a phase which will kind of ease pressure on South Africa going into the fourth ODI?
Look, I think it's, playing against a quality team like India, I don't think you can truly feel like you're on top of them at any one stage. And if you have a look at, so I watched Mansi Joshi quite carefully today because I haven't seen much of her. And in the second ODI, I was really impressed with how she bowled. And she really does get the ball to just sort of swing away beautifully. And the combination of Jhulan and her just works so nicely. You've got the in swing and then you've got the out swing. And as a batsman, it gives you a lot to ponder about. So I think, she bowled so well in those first 4 overs. And then it was just the one over that really cost her. And I think she just needs to unpack with why that happened. I just think she was trying to push it up too much, trying to get too much length out of it. And then her line also went. So then she was pitching it up too wide. She was getting caught. I think she bowled 3 or 4 wides in that over. And then obviously, from then, sort of the batters got hold of her. So she had a bad day today, but I don't think that that's where she's going in terms of how she normally bowls. She just needs to sort of sort out 1 or 2 little things around that. So South Africa I would like to sum it up. I thought they played spin really well today, knock it around and rotate the strike, and then when that bad ball comes, really be able to punish it. I think South Africa are going to be feeling relatively confident, and that they're slowly getting on top, not on top, but being able to handle the Indian bowlers better.
And whenever you say you watched or observed someone, I imagine all the notes that might be going on in your secret diary. Right, let's come to the final segment that we call Aprilia Performer of the Match. Sonia, who is your pick for the performer of this third ODI?
Oh, definitely Lee. I cannot say anyone else because she just, the way her aggressiveness was seen in the game, the way she attacked the bowlers, it was really a wonderful innings she played, especially after they lost the captain initially in the power play over. So it was really amazing to see her score that 100 in such a crucial game for South Africa.
So does Lizelle lead the way in your Aprilia Performer of the Match, or is it someone else, Claire?
No, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with Lizelle Lee. You know me, I'm always biased to the opening batsman, and I think she, I think she's really starting to understand her game, and with her ability, it's really difficult to sort of keep yourself under control. And she just did that beautifully today. And I thought it was a very, very special knock from her.
Easily picked, brilliantly played. And that is the day of Lizelle today in the third ODI between India and South Africa. South Africa go 2-1 up. Very short turnaround. We'll see you everyone on Sunday in the pre-match show. Thanks for joining us, Claire. Thanks for your time, Sonia. That's it from this edition of The Outside View Live, powered by Vespa and Aprilia.
You're late. Don't just live life. Maxify it.